Now we're just going to work in reverse order. I'm going to take a little bit of the mushrooms, place them on top, pat it down nice and flat, and then take a couple leaves of our blanched spinach and put them right on top as well. Okay, now it comes time to wrap it up. Start with one end. Now the puff pastry should be room temperature, not too hot. Okay, and we want to take it and stretch it a little bit and then bring it right into the center. And what you want to do is just you want to bring that kind of overlapping design all the way around. The reason we're doing this is, if I just took this and folded a piece of puff pastry over, folded another piece, by the time I was done, the bottom would be so thick of puff pastry that it wouldn't cook properly. So by stretching the puff pastry out, making it just as thin as it is on top as it is on the bottom, now it will cook very even. And you'll have crisp pastry underneath as well as crisp on top. Okay? So we're just going to round this out. Okay? Pick off any debris or any parts of the mushrooms that get stuck to it. Okay? Wonderful, you know, just as thin on the bottom, just as thin on the top. So you'll take a cookie pan or a cookie sheet with a little bit of butter or oil. You just want to rub in there so it doesn't stick. On top. We're going to take a little bit of just beaten egg. We call it an egg wash. Just some beaten eggs and some water. And we're going to rub that on top. Now the eggs are fat, which is going to make a wonderful golden brown crust on this. We'll season this with a little bit of kosher salt and some cracked black pepper. And for medium rare on this, which is what I prefer, medium rare to medium, you don't want to go too much further. Tenderloin doesn't have a lot of fat in it, so it will become dry really fast. You want to put this in a 400-degree oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. Okay? Okay, so about 12 to 15 minutes later, we're going to take this out. Wonderful golden brown on top. Nice hard crust. That's what we're looking for on that. Now we want to let this rest for a little bit. Okay, let that rest there. Oh, that's perfect. Beautiful crust on that. That's what the egg wash does. It gives us that nice crust. So, classically, Wellington served with, because of the mushroom duxelle, we're going to serve with another type of mushrooms, and these are just normal white button mushrooms. We're going to slice some of these in half. I have a nice hot pan here, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. So we've added a little bit of oil to our saute pan here, and I'm going to take these mushrooms, cut side down, and just put them right inside. Now, I've met a lot of people who don't like mushrooms because they're slimy or the texture they don't particularly enjoy. And that's a misconception of how they're cooked. Mushrooms, like we talked about when we talked about the duxelle, is they're mostly made up of water. So if you add too many mushrooms to a pan at once, you're not sauteing them or you're not searing them off anymore. You're just steaming them. And by steaming them, you're going to add a lot more water to the pan. So don't overcrowd your pan when you have product in it. Put just enough that the bottom of the pan is involved. Now, some things that, you know, if you're going to do this, they take time. So it takes a little bit of time to make it the right way. But that's what we're going to do here. You know, to make this dish and for what the Balsams guest deserves and for what I hope you'd like, it takes a little bit of while to make this dish perfect. So we're going to season them with some salt and some cracked pepper. Remember we talked about that cracked black pepper and how it likes to be caramelized, that toasted flavor of it. So just going to work that around. Okay, and we're just going to let these cook for a little bit here and sear off. Okay, while that's going, we have a wonderful truffled pan sauce here. This is made by using demi-glace, which is we take our veal bones or beef bones and we cook them down with mirepoix, which is celery, onions, carrots, mushroom stems, fresh herbs, and we cook that down with a little bit of tomato paste. Once that's all cooked and seared, we then add water to cover the bones and then cook that very slowly overnight. Once it's cooked, we let that reduce down, and the reduction adds a lot of the gelatinous protein that comes from the bones, and that's what gives us our wonderful mouthfeel for our demi-glace. And that's what we're going to use for our sauce for our dish. So I'm just going to flip these mushrooms over right now. Look at those. Now see, these aren't soggy, you know. These are wonderful golden. Look at the golden brown color on these. That's what we want. That's what we want in that. Okay. So that's going to be our garnish for our dish. We're letting these just cook again on this side. Okay. And now we're going to get ready to plate up our wonderful Wellington. So after we let our filet rest a little bit, we're going to take it off the pan. Now, because we're going to be cutting this in half and flipping it up, we want to take a little bit off on either side. Now, this is going to help the filet rest on the plate a little bit. Okay. Going flat. Look at that. Beautiful mid-rare right there. Okay. So we're going to come back to our plate here. Nice demi-glace. Look at that gelatinous protein. That's what I was saying. Now, you can buy a good quality demi-glace right from a specialty food store. They make wonderful ones. If you couldn't make your own. So what we're going to do now is take our filet, put it right in the center there. We're going to garnish this with a few of our mushrooms. Okay. And then to finish off the classicalness of this dish, we have some nice bright green celery leaves here that they're just going to be bunched together. This is going to add the texture, and this is where the symbionts of even the mouthfeel comes into play when we start making things at the Balsams. We have the creaminess of the pate, the meatiness of the filet of beef, the color differential in the vegetable with the spinach, the roasted mushrooms along the side, the sauce that ties it all together, but we're missing that crunch. The outside puff pastry has wonderful flakiness to it, but we want a nice crisp vegetable that's going to make a nice mouthfeel when we chew. This is just a little bit of chopped black truffle and a little bit of truffle oil that we're going to just dress the greens with. Okay, and we're going to pick one of these aside just for a second and then push it back together. Okay, so it has a nice little balance there. Looks like it's just been, you know, the celery's been born from the filet. It comes up wonderful. And this is the wonderful finished dish right here. Very classical dish, brought up to a little bit nouveau standards from the Balsams. This is a dish that we like to feature on our winter menus. It's a little bit more savory, especially with the succulent filet and the pate and the roast mushrooms. A dish wonderfully fit for a king or a duke, maybe, of Wellington, because this was his favorite, or any guest of the Balsams. So when you're out skiing and you come back in from the wilderness area and you come into the wonderful dining room, this will be sitting for you on our display table. It looks gorgeous. It's a dish easily you could make at home and replicate. You've been cooking with Executive Chef Josh Berry from the Balsams, and I can't wait to cook for you again and see you next season.